Hello, everybody. Got a nice stream organized. So, might as well get going. Here we are. How's everybody doing? Quite a busy week with Formula One news. So, couldn't think of another special topic. So I thought I'll just do like 5 in 1. Um, there's plenty to discuss, and if we're done, we're done. If it's 45 minutes, it's 45 minutes. If it's an hour, it's an hour. If it's a little bit longer, that's fine too. And we're just gonna see who shows up. Always interesting. The chat's still quiet, but yeah, I'm always a minute behind. So, hello, darling wife, Samantha. Long time no see. Some really cold weather here in the Netherlands. Hello, Henk. Welcome. Hello, Richard. Welcome. So nice of you to join. I feel like my old gang is coming back together. So all we need now is Red Boy 21, Slowpath, but he'll be here in half an hour. Who am I forgetting? Daphne. And who else? Who else is part of the gang? Jason sometimes. He sometimes pops in. Yeah, you're close to the German border, aren't you, Hank? So, did you get any snow? We didn't. Here on the West Coast. But, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, it's all the news we had this week. I've a few important bits, important articles that I've pinned, and I can share them with you. Let me see. That's weird. Let me remove this. And then I'll put it in again. Yeah. That's what I was looking for. Okay. No. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to talk about is Alpine confirms Williams super sub Colapinto as reserve driver for the 2025 season. So there he is, Franco Colapinto. Had some really good races, 9 good races last season before he he knew he was gonna only gonna be there for 9 races because Williams hired Carlos Sainz and already had Alex Albon. Then Red Bull was interested for a while, and we knew Alpine was interested, and now with Flavio Briatore there, they signed him up a deal for several years as a reserve driver at Alpine. And yeah, they entered into an agreement, it says here, for a multi-year deal. There's also Hirakawa and Aaron. So Alpine have plenty of behind-the-scenes drivers to pick from for their team. Colapinto says he's super excited to have the opportunity to join BWT Alpine Formula One team. First of all, I want to say thank you to Williams for all the support from the moment I joined the academy until the last race in Abu Dhabi. They turned my dream of racing in Formula One into reality, and I will always be grateful for that. Now it's time for a new chapter and to take on this challenge with BWT Alpine Formula One team is truly an honor. A huge thank you to Luca De Meo, Flavio Briatore, and Oliver Oakes for believing in me and welcoming me into the team with open arms. I cannot wait to get started and see where this journey takes us. And then he thanks his sponsors, which are very important, and his incredible fans in Argentina. And Briatore said, we are very pleased to come into an agreement with Williams Racing to sign Franco Colapinto. Clearly, Franco is among the best young talents in motorsport right now. It's fair to say his appearance on the Formula One grid last year caught many, me included, by surprise, and his performances have been impressive for a rookie driver. So yeah. I understand Alpine, and I definitely understand where Williams is coming from, because Williams, they're always looking for more money, and having such a good driver with a sort of contract in your lineup, but you know you're never going to use him in the next couple of years, you might as well, let him drive somewhere else, let him even get better, and cash in some money for it. Like Red Bull dropped Gasly into the sister team, and Alpine had to pay 10 million to get him out of his Red Bull contract. And it's those kind of amounts of money that make the junior team possible. So let me see how the chat is. Hey, there's Henry Wallace. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored here with somebody who's very close to the Haas team. I've seen loads of selfies with him and the Haas drivers. Henry Wallace is the Haas chap on TikTok and Instagram. So if you like to follow F1 and in especially Haas, then look him up. The Haas chap, which is Henry Wallace. Hello, sexy beast. Richard says, I have to admit I haven't followed any F1 news for a while, so I'm curious. Hank said that he had snow yesterday. Just a few centimeters of snow. Hank says, do it under pressure. We'll talk about that later because I've got an article about that as well. And there's Daphne, and she says, hi, women. Samantha. Hi, Daphne. Okay, I think we're complete. So what was I going to say about Williams. So I understand that Williams, who have trained Colapinto up from a junior to where he is now, that you want to cash in at some point. So I totally understand. And we don't know the whole deal. There could be options in there that if Briatore puts in Colapinto after 5 races of Doohan, which is a genuine possibility, it's possible. And Colapinto does really well, and they want to really give him a proper contract, that they need to go through Williams first and pay them 10 million euros or something, or $10 million. And that would be very interesting because it's what makes a junior team possible, you know, having these drivers make it into Formula One and getting money for them. So yeah, I totally understand. What do you call it? Williams' point of view. You can't keep him along, stringing him along for 2 years, 3 years. The only way I can see them regretting this is if Carlos Sainz, after 1 season at Williams, gets an offer to go back to Ferrari because Lewis Hamilton quit, and he gets he gets offered the Ferrari seat again, and he leaves. Then I think Williams would be happy to put Colapinto in that seat again. But then again, maybe the small print in the contract stipulates that it's possible to take him away from Alpine to put him in the Williams seat again. Oh, Hank says, I heard rumors that Colapinto is leased out. Okay, that's possible too. So yeah. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's time to go to the next subject. Okay, let me do this first. Screen. And this. It's bigger. And the next thing I have is... Okay, F1 star. Oh, I'll make it big. F1 star, this guy, Jack Doohan. F1 star under huge pressure as team chief issues replacement warning. Formula One driver Jack Doohan is facing enormous pressure at the start of his rookie season after replacement threat from a senior figure within his team. After a few glum seasons, Alpine have decided to shake their drivers' lineup for 2025, keeping Pierre Gasly and opting to bring in Doohan to replace the outgoing Esteban Ocon. Perhaps not keen to lose out on another one of their junior stars, just as they previously did with Oscar Piastri, Doohan has now received his illustrious F1 promotion. Yeah, Doohan did really well for 2 seasons in F2, where he claimed 6 victories. But now that Briatore has signed Colapinto, yeah, Doohan is under immense pressure because... Oh, sorry, I had to sneeze. So he could be under pressure because, yeah, Briatore wants to probably put him in after another 5 races because the contract only stipulated that there was 6 races. Yeah, because Briatore said here, clearly Franco is among the best young talents in motorsport right now. It's fair to say his appearance on the Formula 1 grid last year caught many, me included, by surprise, and his performances have been very impressive for a rookie driver. We have an eye on our future, and his signing means we have a great pool of young drivers to call upon and work within development developing the team for great success. Okay, make this smaller. Turn off the screen capture. Yeah. Now, Briatore, for people that don't know him, he was a legendary team boss. He didn't mind cheating to get wins and win prizes. The two first championships for Michael Schumacher were with Benetton, and Flavio Briatore was the team principal then. And there was always speculation about software being used, even though software wasn't allowed to be used anymore. And Schumacher once, I think he deleted all the data from his steering wheel before they could check it. And at one point they found software in the steering wheel, but Benetton said, yeah, it was there, but we never used it. Those sort of things. And then there was Crashgate that also happened under Flavio Briatore. And after that, he was pretty much banished for a few years until he was allowed to come back again. And now he's meddling into Alpine. And yeah, a lot of changes have already happened. Alpine was pretty much lost. I think we saw 6-7 important drivers and team principals leave. Renault kept supplying bad engines, even though Renault and Alpine are very much intertwined with each other. And now Briatore made the decision to drive with Mercedes engines in 2026, dropping Renault. Renault has no engines left, which was great news for Audi because they were looking for more staff, and they probably hired a lot of people from France. So Briatore, he's ruthless. He had a contract with Jos Verstappen in 1995 to allow Jos another 6 races at Benetton. And it turned out that he hadn't stipulated that it was at Benetton, and Jos got flung into Simtech, which turned out okay because, that was a much less pressured environment for Jos. But yeah, the reliability and the shortage of money is what destroyed Simtech, and a huge accident with Roland Ratzenberger in the same weekend that Senna died. So yeah, Flavio Briatore, ruthless man, and yeah, I dare to bet like €100 that Jack Doohan is driving 6 races for Alpine. 1 he's already done, so it's 5 races into the season. Let me see. I got this for Christmas. So race 1 is Australia, Shanghai, Japan, Sakir, Jeddah. I think in Miami, we'll see Jack Doohan replaced by Franco Colapinto. Yes, write that down. Miami. So and that's rough for Jack Doohan because he's a nice guy. I always enjoy listening to him when he's co-hosting at F1 TV with Will Buxton. So let's go to the chat, see what everybody else has to say about this. Yes. Oh, still have a cold. Okay. Duffner says, I feel sorry for Lawson. He's getting the worst teammate you can get. Okay. And Gentili says, who knows how Doohan will perform next year. So he might see a chance of replacing him. Yeah. Hank says the famous option 13 of Benetton. Yeah. And Daphne says like the DAS system at Mercedes. Yeah, that was pretty clever too. And Gentili says Alpine's improvement was noticeable last season. Well, they were actually pretty bad, and if it wasn't for Brazil, they'd finished 9th or 8th. Hey, there's Vegas. Hello, Vegas. Welcome. Alpine is French, fabulously French. And Daphne's talking about her kid. So I'll let Samantha deal with that. Hank says thus was an illegal. Option 13 was, and traction control that was lawed out by the previous season. Hank says fabulously French indeed. And Daphne says, how will Piastri perform this year? Okay. Oh, before I forget, I can give away memberships again. Here we go. Don't know that one. Don't know that one. Don't know that one. Don't know that one. I'll do another 5 later on. Yeah. Jack Doohan. Maybe he should have gone into MotoGP like his father. You know, F1. There's only 20 drivers in F1. And then again, at least he gets at least 6 races, which is more than a lot of other drivers. You know, what do you call him? Felipe Drugovich, he'd love to have 6 races in Formula 1. Okay. You guys keep on talking about babies, and I'll go to the next topic. Yeah, let's go to Aston Martin. I got some Aston Martin here. No, that's the wrong one. This one. Andy Cowell becomes team principal at Aston Martin as Mike Krack moves to a new role in restructure. See, this is Andy Cowell, who was very important at Mercedes in the engine development program. So Aston Martin have announced that Andy Cowell will assume the role of team principal alongside his position as CEO with immediate effect, with Mike Krack moving to the position of chief trackside officer as part of an organizational restructure. Yeah, this is all technical talk about how the roles are shifting a bit. Enrico Cardile will oversee the architecture and build the new cars. And there's a guy called McCulloch who was performance director, but he's out of F1. Cowell commented on the restructure. I've spent the last 3 months understanding and assessing our performance, and I've been incredibly impressed by the dedication, commitment, and the hard work of this team. With the completion of the AMR technology campus and our transition in 2026 to a full works team, alongside our strategic partners Honda and Aramco, we are on a journey to becoming a championship-winning team. Yeah. I always love reading about all these teams. I always love reading about all these teams becoming a championship winning team. So they want to be a championship winning team in 2026. But Red Bull also wants to be a championship winning team, and they're also pretty confident. And then there's Mercedes, who after 4 poor years, they want to be a championship winning team, and they have strong engines, so they're gonna make it. Ferrari, they also want to be a championship winning team, and now Aston Martin as well, and then Williams, they're pointing their arrows at the 2026 season, so they want to be a championship winning team. So we're gonna have 6 championship winning teams, and 5 teams in the midfield. That's what's gonna happen. But anyway, yeah, I didn't think Mike Krack was doing a bad job. I think I wanted to say I think he was doing a cracking job. But yeah, that I think what do you call him? Andy Cowell. He wants to have a more hand-on job, especially in this early phase of getting the new campus completely ready and the wind tunnels and everything. So he's taken on that job himself to keep the distance between all the different parties as close as possible, because that's what happens in these big organizations, that at one point one end doesn't know what the other end is doing. Now in this new campus, I think there's a bridge between the technology side and then the testing side or whatever. It's very impressive what Lawrence Stroll has been building there. They're so ambitious, and only for that I wouldn't mind if they get at least within a shot of winning a championship. That would be cool. I don't want them to beat Max Verstappen, but with everything that they're putting towards it, they are deserving. And it would just be cool to see a different team, different color, different people winning championship. So let's see what the chat is saying about this. Okay. Gentili says no relation to Simon Cowell. I think Simon Cowell is the guy from the music programs in England, isn't he? He's Nasty Nick. No. Who's Simon Cowell? I don't know. I'm gonna look it up. Simon. Yeah, he is the music guy. Yeah. Okay. Hank says another reshuffle at AMR. That's your team, Hank. You should know all this. But yeah, no, I want him to do well. Hank says it's getting busy at the top, and Richard says the more the merrier. Yeah, that's totally true. I think there's one thing Aston Martin could do to make them even more popular, and that's getting rid of Lance. But okay. Okay, Daphne has a comment. Verstappen will be in the best 3 drivers in 2025, maybe on top. Lando doesn't have it, but Piastri. But how does Hamilton at Ferrari? Well, Daphne, I released a video yesterday about how Hamilton will do at Ferrari. Maybe you still have to watch it. He's not going to do very well, in my opinion. Hey, Vegas! Thank you for the $5. That's amazing, because you're already a member. That's awesome. I'm going to heart this. I hearted it and I liked it. Thank you, kind sir. Okay, what was I talking about? We were still on Aston Martin, weren't we? So I've been chatting for half an hour already. I better get my next topic. Okay, so I I have I have two articles here for my next topic. Mm-hmm. What is a pointy front end in F1? Verstappen's preference. Explained. It is by Ben Anderson from The Race. Um, yeah, it's about how the concept of a pointy end in F1 car has been discussed whenever you're talking about Max Verstappen, how he won his championships. So, what does it mean? Well, it means that a pointy front end means that if you steer in, the front responds really quickly. And because the front end responds really quickly, he can turn the car quicker. And the sooner you're straight on the tarmac, the sooner you can step on the gas and accelerate if you have traction. What other drivers don't like about a pointy front end is that it makes the rear unstable. So, you fly in to a turn with your pointy end, and then the back almost starts sliding unless you have incredible talent and you can catch the car from sliding, or you can just be so precise with how much you can let the car do that it stays there. Now, all the previous team mates Max had struggled with this, and what do you call him? Alex Albon explained it like with the sensitivity of a mouse playing a computer game where you set the sensitivity at the highest and the minus touch to the left or to the right makes your mouse dart all over the screen like it is. Um, yeah, so all the teammates struggled with it, and that's why, he's a bit of a nightmare for all of his teammates. But it just shows how much um, talent Max has to be able to handle that. Okay. Let me see what the chat says about this. Yeah. Richard says he makes short corners, as Peter Windsor puts it. Yeah. There were more drivers that loved it that way. Michael Schumacher was one of them. Can you guys name a few other ones that really like a pointy front end that can handle that? It's just Red Bull gets a lot of criticism for not hiring a proper driver for that seat. On one end, it's because they don't want anybody to disrupt the peace at Red Bull. They have Max; he's the number one driver, and they don't want another alpha male in there trying to shift things towards him. And that's why, for instance, Carlos Sainz wasn't hired, and that's why when Lewis Hamilton last year got his father to inform about Red Bull, they also said no because, yeah, Max, and Red Bull obviously agrees with this, says that the best results in Formula One have been reached when there's a pairing between two drivers where one is the clear number one and the other one is a clear number two. And Michael Schumacher, he's probably the one that told Jos and Max that. um, always had Eddie Irvine or what do you call the Brazilian Barrichello, and yeah, they were subservient to the cause, and the cause was to win as many championships as possible for Michael Schumacher. And if you're a driver who's good enough to demand a a teammate that is not challenging you, then I think that's a gift in itself. You know, if you have so much sway in a team that you can tell who to put beside you, or in any case, not to put beside you, then I think that's a win, and it's not something you should um, see as a weakness. Whereas in the British media and British fans, they often say, "Yeah, Hamilton had much better teammates because he had Rosberg and he had Button and he had Alonso." And they forget to mention that he fell out with all of them. Um, he and Rosberg were best friends, and then the Civil War started, and now they hate each other. Those are the issues that could have been prevented if Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes was paired up with a Bottas type person from the start. And I think if they had done it, then Hamilton would be an 8-time world champion now because he wouldn't have lost in 2016 to Rosberg. But in any case, I'm drifting off here. The article was about the pointy end that Max loves and that he can handle, and that's why he destroys his teammates without even wanting to. So we need Liam Lawson to enjoy that loose rear and go fast with the pointy end. And then he'll be okay. He won't be as fast as Max, but he doesn't have to, as long as he's within a couple of tenths. And yeah, doesn't score 3 or 4 positions lower. So if Max wins a race and he comes in 4th or 5th, that's brilliant. You know, every race within the top 4 or 5, that'll get them the constructors. Okay, let's see how the chat's going again. Hey, there's Keith Williams. Hello, Keith Williams. Are you related to Frank Williams by any chance? Anyway, Keith Williams says, hard to see AMR winning a championship with Lance in the car. Very true. Definitely not the constructors. Hank says, Verstappen doesn't catch the rear. He feels what the rear is going to do and pre-direct accordingly. Yeah, that's another way of putting it. Yes. As long as the car isn't there, Lance is safe. If the car is there, Honda and Aramco are demanding wins. Yeah, I think so too. At the minute, it doesn't freaking matter if Lance is in the car or Drogovic or freaking Latifi. They're not getting much out of it anyway because even Alonso is finishing P11 most of the time. So yeah, there's no point in putting a brilliant driver in, and I think Alonso is a brilliant driver. Gentile says Lance can perform decently with a good car like the pink Mercedes in 2020. Yeah, but he lost big time against Perez, and Perez is being destroyed in the media and by the fans because he's losing out to Max in such big numbers. So, you know, if Perez is that good against Lance, how bad is Lance Stroll? You know? It's all relative. And Hank says Lance can perform occasionally decent in a decent car. Yeah, but you know, the few highs that he had, like a pole position, and I think he scored 2 podiums, one in a race where 9 other drivers in front of him DNF'd. I think that was Baku. Those peaks, they're gone. You know, he is either really bad or mediocre. So, yeah. Like Richard says, true Hanky occasionally flukes a good result. That's not happening anymore. But anyway, we'll keep that for the news live stream in 6 months when he's sacked. Hopefully. Okay, let's go to the next article that I've pinned. And this one is from Mark Hughes, also from the race. I'm borrowing a lot from the race, but I think it's okay because I'm crediting them for this. If everybody wants to read the full article, go to the race and you can find it. Anyway, Mark Hughes, I love the book he wrote about Max Verstappen. The only part I don't like is how he sees AD21. I don't agree with that, but yeah, you can't agree with everything. Okay. Why Verstappen destroys teammates without meaning to. It's about how Liam Lawson is going into the Red Bull team, and he sees it as an opportunity of his lifetime, but it could go sour very quickly. Pierre Gasly, Alex Albon, and Sergio Perez. Yeah, they all lost their confidence being measured against the scale of Verstappen's ability. He also says that it's not impossible to compete with Verstappen because Carlos Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo, they made a fair fist of it. Although I think that was because Max was a lot younger as well then and still had to learn a lot. But anyway. Yeah, and then it goes on about how he likes the pointy end and how he goes into corners. Here's a bit about, sometimes it's like, yeah, the car's always developed to Max's liking, but that's not true. Developing a car with a pointy end is always a good idea, but not every driver can handle that. But at Red Bull, they can keep on developing that way because they know Max can handle it. And there was another big problem. At the end of 2020, Pierre Wache explained how Max's talent was hiding a lot of the problems they had because he was controlling an instability that wouldn't be possible for others. And it happened again in 2024 when Max and Checo had been complaining about instability and they didn't listen, or they just didn't want to change the car too much. And yeah, it was shocking what happened in Monza and Hungary. But after Hungary, they realized that they needed to do something because Max was pissed off. What else? What Max is brilliant at is getting the best from a car which the wind tunnel says is the best, says Jensen Button. Most drivers find that balance horrible and adjust the car away from that to give them the confidence to commit the corners, but Max can just drive it like that. Yeah. Okay, here's what Wache said about developing a car especially for Max. It wasn't our intention to develop a car specifically for Max, said Wache of the RB20. But as a driver, he can cope with a less connected balance. To make a car quick, by definition, you go towards this. You have the possibility to create an understeery car, but it would be slower. Our job is to move away from this and then use this setup to make it quicker. Max is able to cope with this, and I think Alex explained it very well with his computer mouse comments. So far in his short F1 career, Lawson has shown great confidence and an aptitude for adapting very quickly. For a Verstappen teammate, it's a good starting point. How unstable a car he can live with in the way he feels it, something determined by receptors and neurons more than anything else, will likely determine his faith. Yeah, so what's interesting about this is that this article basically talks about Max's teammates, and it's interesting if you want to know how Liam Lawson is going to do next year or in this season. Right. Let me go into the chat one more time. Oh, you guys are still talking about Lance Stroll. Oh no. Vega says the race is usually pretty solid. Definitely. The race is solid, but still British. Typically discrediting the British driver. Have they anything said that about Hamilton? Yep. And Keith Williams says, not related to Frank Williams, but the presence of a team named Williams is what got me following F1 many years ago. That's great. Hamilton is the headmaster's sweetheart. No, George Russell is the headmaster's sweetheart. Yeah. So what I liked about chat's gone. Yeah. No, what I liked about this article is that it explains why Max's teammates are always in trouble keeping up with him, and they explain it very well. Then also they sort of debunk the myth that cars get developed especially for Max, which isn't true, because they develop a car that is quickest in the wind tunnel, and then Max is the one that gets the most out of it. And then they finish the article with saying that Liam Lawson, is very adaptable, and it's true because he drove DTM and he was quite quicker than Albon, and he drove Super Formula and he finished second. Now in Super Formula, you have these drivers that have been driving those Japanese tracks. Those Japanese drivers have been driving these Japanese tracks for 10 years in the same type of cars. So for Liam Lawson to finish second, that was actually an achievement. And I hear, as in the way a Super Formula car behaves, it's the closest thing to a Formula One car. So, yeah, no, I'm hopeful that Liam Lawson can do well, keeping in mind the things that are said in this article. Yeah, Richard says, George is that kid that snitches on everyone at the headmasters. Samantha was always a bit of a goody good shoe. Don't break the rules and the headmaster won't hear anything. So Lawson is being claimed to preference pointy front end. I guess the proof will be in the pudding the upcoming season. Okay, I'm going to give away 10 more memberships. No, 5 more, sorry. Here we go. Let me see if we know any of these names. Mitch Heafy, don't know. Emu, don't know. Tips. Okay, well, we all need more tips. Jay Krills and Ebb. Nah, okay. It's a pity that none of the non-members, but people in the chat don't get any. But maybe next month, Yeah, got 10 more minutes. Are there any questions? Are there things that you're looking forward to in the coming weeks? How much do you miss Formula One? Those are the important questions. Are we expecting any big news? Hey, Jasper. I don't know what happened. You know, I wear like a woolly hat in work all day, every day. And I think there was a thingy here and that injured my head a little bit. And now it feels like um, there's a tiny little bit of eczema or something. But in my previous video, it was worse. So it's already getting less. Yes. See? But thank you for noticing, Jasper. Love it. Unraced F1 says, I don't miss Formula 1 at all. No, you only miss old F1, don't you? Guys, if you want to follow Unraced F1 on Twitter, he his channel there is always posting classic F1 cars and legendary old F1 drivers and naked women on cars. So that's always interesting. Vegas says SCCA is in Sebring this weekend and was at Homestead last weekend. Still sucks waiting for F1. I don't know what SCCA is. I'm going to Google that. SCCA Racing. Sports Car Club of America. Uh-huh. That looks interesting. But Hank says he's waiting for the reveal season. You know what's a pity about, having it all in one day? I used to love it having spread out, from the 2nd of February till the 14th of February. And I'm always really busy in work because I have a flower business. Samantha and I have a flower business. But I always loved seeing the new liveries while I'm in work. But yeah, it's a pity that they're all doing it one day. There are some teams doing it on a separate day as well. I already heard that Red Bull isn't doing it, so you can see the full livery on the first testing day. Jasper, is because it's the 75th anniversary of Formula One, and they want to make one large big show out of it. And I also think it's because they can sell tickets. Formula One can sell tickets to the event, this one major event, and maybe the teams have to pay a little bit to participate. So it's basically a money thing disguised by the 75th anniversary of Formula One. Yeah. I used to love it in the 1990s and 2000s when it was already in January. Yeah, I wasn't watching then, but it's nice to have a little bit of content every month, to keep spirits up. So, right. I think that's enough for one day. I'm writing a new video tomorrow, but I don't know what it's going to be about. Do you guys have any ideas what my next video should be about? Do you think it would be an interesting video about Max and that pointy end and how it destroys his teammates? Get my view on it. Put it in a poll. Next video. Max and his pointy end. Yes. No. Oh, yeah. No, it was a fun live stream. Time flew by. I thought, with these 4 topics, I'm gonna have a lot of time left, but it turned out to be a lovely little live stream. Not too long, not too short. Just Hank keeps repeating that I'm not the most technical guy, but I can use Chat GPT. I can use all the articles, and then I'll just copy the important bits, and then I'll come across like a technical guy. Hank, I'll sound just like you. Right, on that bombshell. Simply lovely stream, Wimbo. Thanks, bro. Okay. 6 votes. Most of them say yes. And somebody else. The people that said no, do you have a better idea? Because, I'll dive into it. But send me an email if you have a better idea. I'm going to finish here now. Take care now. Doei doei.